I've spent years studying voices that shaped American country music, voices that echo through generations, voices that tell the stories of heartbreak, hope, and the everyday struggles of life. And in all that time, I've learned something uncomfortable. Fame protects you, until it doesn't. Randy Travis's story teaches us that a legacy isn't built on applause. It's built on what survives after the applause fades, when no one is clapping and the spotlight has moved on. Randy Travis's story is not just about music. It's about fragility, resilience, and the quiet bravery it takes to endure when life changes in an instant. To understand the magnitude of what happened in 2013, we need to look back at the man Randy Travis once was. Born Randy Bruce Trawick in Marshville, North Carolina in 1959, he grew up in a small town with a love for gospel music and a raw talent for storytelling. His voice, even as a teenager, carried a depth that seemed beyond his years, a timbre that would become unmistakable in country music. Randy Travis wasn't just a singer, he was a revivalist of a traditional sound at a time when country was increasingly leaning toward pop. With his 1986 album Storms of Life, he didn't just make music, he made a statement. Songs like On the Other Hand and Diggin' Up Bones reminded audiences what country could be: authentic, heartfelt, and deeply human. By the late 1980s, he had become the voice of a generation. July 8, 2013 began like any other for the country music legend. But by the end of the day, nothing would ever be the same. Travis was admitted to a Texas hospital with viral cardiomyopathy, a dangerous inflammation of the heart. Within hours, his condition worsened dramatically. Then came the stroke, a massive blow to the left side of his brain, the part responsible for speech. Doctors put him in a medically induced coma, and survival itself was uncertain. At 54, Randy Travis was no longer the fresh-faced traditionalist who had stormed the charts in the 1980s. He was a veteran artist with a career built on authenticity, but also a recent history marked by legal troubles and personal strain. In 2012, arrests in Sanger, Texas, had already placed his public image under scrutiny. The world knew Randy Travis, but in 2013, even he had to confront how vulnerable life could be. The stroke didn't care about fame, history, or accolades. It left him with severe aphasia, a condition that made it difficult for him to speak, and limited movement on his right side. He could understand language, but producing it was another matter entirely. A voice that once commanded arenas and radio airwaves was now trapped in silence. Recovery was painstaking. Every day became a routine of repetition. Lift, grip, repeat, try again. Speech therapy was mechanical at first, frustrating and slow. Every word was a battle. Every sentence, a small victory. Then, therapists tried something different. Instead of asking him to speak, they asked him to sing. It was a breakthrough rooted in neuroscience. Music activates different neural pathways than speech. The words faltered, but the melody did not. Through song, fragments of his voice returned, smaller, fragile, but unmistakably Randy Travis. This wasn't the triumphant comeback fans imagine in movies. It was something subtler, yet infinitely more powerful. It was adaptation. It was proof that even after tragedy, the essence of a person could endure. In October 2016, the country music world gathered at the Country Music Hall of Fame. The anticipation in the room was palpable. When Randy Travis stepped to the microphone, every eye followed him, every breath waited in silence. His speech came slowly, each word carefully measured. Then he sang Amazing Grace. The note was thin, fragile, yet unmistakable. It wasn't the same commanding baritone that had defined an era, but that didn't matter. The audience didn't hear power, they heard presence. And in that moment, presence mattered more than power ever could. It was a reminder that legacy isn't always about returning to who you were. Sometimes it's about showing up, even when the world expects something more. Long before the stroke, Randy Travis had already reshaped country music. His influence extended beyond record sales. Young artists cite him as an inspiration. His phrasing, timing, and ability to convey emotion became a blueprint for traditional country revivalists. Yet fame is a double-edged sword. By 2013, pressures had compounded. Industry shifts, legal troubles, and public scrutiny had already tested him. The stroke arrived as both a literal and symbolic interruption, a reminder that no amount of fame can immunize you from the fragility of the human body. After the stroke, public appreciation grew louder. Tributes poured in from fans, artists, and the industry alike. His albums were revisited, his songs re-examined, and younger audiences discovered him anew. Some of that reverence only came once competition faded, once the spotlight moved elsewhere. That isn't cruelty. It's how fame often works: selective, delayed, rarely fair. But Randy Travis's story proves that true artistry leaves a mark beyond applause. Today, Randy Travis doesn't tour like he used to. He manages his energy carefully, choosing when and how to sing. Some days are steadier than others. He still sings, sometimes privately, sometimes briefly in public. But he did not return to who he once was. He became who he could be. This distinction is crucial. Too often we expect recovery to look like a return to former glory, a Hollywood-style triumph. But real life is rarely so tidy. Randy Travis's story is not about triumph in the traditional sense. It's about endurance. It's about staying present when the past has been stripped away. And sometimes staying is the bravest act of all. Randy Travis's voice, even in fragments, remains a testament to resilience. His influence on country music is undeniable, but his story goes beyond charts and awards. It's about what happens when the tools you've relied on, speech, mobility, strength, are suddenly taken from you. It's about finding new ways to express yourself, to communicate, and to live. It's about the quiet moments of practice, the hours of therapy, the small victories that never make headlines. And it's about teaching us that legacy isn't measured in applause, it's measured in survival, adaptation, and presence. For a generation that often equates success with visibility, Randy Travis offers a different lesson. Sometimes the most profound achievements are not loud or celebrated. Sometimes the greatest courage lies in simply staying, in finding a new rhythm when the old one is gone, and in letting the music of your life continue, even in a quieter key. Randy Travis's story is tragic, yes, but it is also deeply human. It reminds us that even voices that seem unbreakable can falter, that fame can shield you only for so long, and that the real measure of a life well lived is what persists when the spotlight dims. His voice, now softer, more deliberate, still carries the weight of history. It carries the echoes of a time when country music was defined by authenticity, storytelling, and heart. It carries the reminder that presence can be more powerful than power, that endurance can be more remarkable than triumph, and that sometimes the bravest act is to continue, against all odds, one note at a time.